Hi everyone, welcome back to my Python videos. In this video we're going to look at GitHub. We'll see what GitHub is, how to use it and why, understand why we need to use it. So GitHub is essentially a collection of code, a centralized collection out on the internet, provides version control and many other things, and it allows us to share our code, the programs we write, with other developers. It also allows us to reach out and clone their code and contribute to it or use some of it. So GitHub is all roads lead to GitHub in the development community or some other version control software. So we're going to learn how to use it in PyCharm. We're going to replicate our code from PyCharm to GitHub, and then we're going to go into GitHub and take a project that's already there and clone it to our systems. So this will give us an understanding of how to use, a basic understanding of how to use GitHub, and you'll see from this the power of using GitHub. To create our Git repository, we're going to use a sample program that we used in previous videos. It's the President's program, and we're going to use that program to set up our local Git repository. And a Git repository is really just a directory on our computer where changes are tracked to files, and these files then are committed to have the final version. Much similar to Word, where the review function takes changes and then commits to have the final document. Before we can install the GitHub repository on our machine, if we have a Windows machine, we first need to download the Git client. You can go to website git.scm.com and download that client. It's most likely you won't need it for the Mac, it comes built in, but you can also download it if you need it, and then we can go back to PyCharm and configure it. It's a pretty standard setup. Back in PyCharm, we need to verify that the Git client is installed, and to do this we go to Preferences in PyCharm, go down to Version Control, and go to the Git section and make sure that that Git is available. And it is in our case. We also will go to GitHub eventually to set up an account to replicate with the GitHub website, but for now we just want to verify Git is installed. To set up the Git repository, we press Ctrl V, and that brings up the VCS pop-up window. VCS is version control software. And we go to Create Git Repository. So we click that, and it gives us a directory with our files where we're going to save our files. And now we have both files in our Git repository. We do not have them added to version control yet. So to do that, we press Ctrl V again, or go to VCS on the menu, and we go down to Add to VCS. So add these files to version control. I only did one, so I'd have to do it again. But I could have selected the directory to include both. And now we have both files saved in our Git repository. So to test this, to see what we have, we'll first do a commit. And to do a commit, we'll right-click the project directory and go to Git Commit. And this will save our baseline settings. So we have to give it a message, a tag basically, to show what we have. So we'll call this initial commit. And when we hit commit, that saves it, and now we have a commit made to our repository that says initial commit. We can look at that, verify that, by right-clicking again and going to show history. And as you can see, the initial commit is saved. So let's make a change, and now let's commit this again for the second commit. And we can right-click on the project and go to Git and commit, and we'll type something uninspiring like second commit. And click OK, and we have both commits. So this is how we save each stage of our development, and we can go back to former saves and bring up that code and look at it and revert back to it, similar to how we would do in any tracking system. So if we look at the file here, you see that the changes were not made to this file. So if we had an issue, we could revert back to that version. So now we have a code repository, and we have an easy way to back up and track our changes made to this system. So that's great, but to make it really useful, we should push our code out to a central repository, which in our case is going to be GitHub. And that's where we put all our code so we can share it with other people, and we can take code from other people and collaborate. To do that, we're going to have to go out to github.com. That's the site where the GitHub source repository is located. When you go to github.com, you'll be prompted to enter a username and password. So you'll create an account. It's a free account. But please be aware that anything you put in GitHub is open to the public. So don't use passwords or tokens or API codes in your code if you're replicating out to GitHub. There are ways around this, and we'll talk about them in other videos, Git ignore and so on. But for now, just keep in mind nothing sensitive in your code to GitHub. And once you create your account, we'll go back to PyCharm. So back in PyCharm, we go again to Preferences. And we are under version control, and we add an account here. I've already added mine. You will have a plus sign here under GitHub. You click, you add, you put your email account that you use to sign into GitHub, and you put your password, and there's a test button. And once it's tested and working, then you should be good to go. The final step to publish your code out onto GitHub, you go to VCS again and go to import into version control and click Share Project on GitHub. The defaults are fine here. You don't need to change anything, and hit OK, and you should get a notification that it has been successfully shared on GitHub, which I did get. Hope you get the same. And then let's go over to GitHub and verify that that information is there. When you log into GitHub, you should see a repository with the name of the project you use to replicate. Mine is PresGit. Yours could be something else. But regardless, you should see a project that has these files from our replication from the local repository to the GitHub repository. That's our first program out on GitHub. The next thing we're going to do is pull a code that's on GitHub down, replicate it, or create a clone on our instance of PyCharm. So let's go back to GitHub and do a search for another project. It's called Plotting My Stocks. This is a repository that I have set up. So if you click that, it should bring up the program that I put up there in my account. So now we want to take this program and bring it back to PyCharm so we can all work on it. This is from a previous video, which we used matplotlib. To do that, we can clone or download. And the easiest way is to just copy the link here. So if you copy that, and then we'll go back to PyCharm, and we'll go VCS, and we'll check out a version from Git. We'll check out someone else's software, and we'll put that link in here that we just copied, and we'll clone it. Actually, it already exists. I'm going to have to call it something else in mine, but we'll clone it. And yes, we'd like to open. So now it's prompting us, as you remember from PyCharm, each project has a different version, a different instance. So we're going to have to create another one to download to replicate this software. So we hit yes on that, and we'll open it in the current window, meaning we'll open a new project. And once we get this project, we should have the code that was here from our previous video, which plotted stock prices on a chart. So it looks like it's working. It should be working on your version of PyCharm too. And now you have a new program that you just imported. So this is how we're going to share and pull resources down. So you can go to GitHub, you can search, and you can see, you can even become a part of a collaboration. There are some first-timer collaborations on GitHub that you can get involved in. But there's a lot more to GitHub. We just touched the surface here. But the point of our exercise is we want to take it to our next level, which is to share our code and be part of a community. In the true spirit of open source collaboration, this is how we're going to learn, and this is how we're going to get to the next level. We're going to be doing a lot more with GitHub going forward, and I'll put the link to my repository on my website at pythonforadultsandkids.com. So you can look at the code, and we'll share it there going forward. In the next videos, we'll be looking at encryption, database, SQL, PostgreSQL, and a whole lot of other cool things in Python. So if you like this content, please don't forget to subscribe and share. And thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.